Hey, Bruce Naylor, the Boomer Consumer. I think this is going to be a fun video. You know what? I've been using the Fosi Audio ZA3 as my desktop reference Class D amplifier, and I've done so for quite some time because it is a stunner, an absolutely great sounding and high value amplifier. However, I was pretty well shocked to learn that Fosi came out with its apparent mate. It's called the ZD3. So you have the ZA3, and this complements the ZA3 with the ZD3. Kind of a mouthful. This is going to be very interesting. This is a fully balanced DAC, right? And it uses and I can't always remember this stuff, so I take notes. This is a teleprompter-free channel, but it uses the ES9039Q2M DAC chipset. And I tell you, what a sweet sounding DAC. We're going to go into more details in just a minute, but if you want something that's got a ton of inputs, we're talking Bluetooth, we're talking optical, coaxial, USB, HDMI, you're going to want this DAC, all right? If you're going to want something that's swappable op amps, you're going to want this DAC. If you want something that measures very, very well, this is a great DAC. Do you want it all under $200? Great DAC for that. So, without further ado, let's get into more of the review. So first, let's start with what you get in the box. And I think Fosi does a great job with packaging. You get the manual, you get a quality control card. Of course, you get the ZD3 itself. You get a package of accessories. You get a remote control. You get the 12-volt power brick. You get a special magnet, a 3.5 millimeter cable, a power cord, a USB cable. And because right now, the date of this recording, this is on kind of a pre-sale type of thing. Wide availability on October the 24th, but mine came with 3 of the 4580D op amps to boot. So if I want to replace op amps, I can. I'm not the guy, I don't really do that sort of thing. I guess that's the modern equivalent of tube rolling. It's op amp switching. But nonetheless, that's what came with my review unit. Let's talk quickly about the build quality of the ZD3. Nice metal case on here. And I actually got 2 knobs. One of them's got like the 7th anniversary logo on it. But I just left the factory knob on it. Essentially, it just works like this. Tapping on the knob will, one quick press will change the inputs, say from USB to coax to optical to Bluetooth, etc. Over on this side, you have the OLED display. It's like a 1.5 inch OLED display. And that's going to give you information about like what frequency that you're on. By the way, this comes out of the box in DAC preamp mode. We're going to show you how you actually change it back over to just the standard DAC mode, a fixed line level out. But it'll show you your volume, because obviously you turn this thing, and it shows you your volume, the frequency, whether it's PCM, DSD, etc. on there. So you get all that information on the OLED. Again, this knob here functions as a volume knob. A long press turns it off or on. Short presses, again, change the inputs. No real filters, nothing about it being oversampling, anything like that. It's just basically works right out of the box. I didn't have to install any drivers on my PC or on my Mac with it. All right, let's take a look at the back. You have your XLR outputs on here. Those are, again, the balanced outputs. You get single-ended RCA outputs, 12-volt triggers, your coaxial, HDMI, ARC, USB, and optical inputs. So that is 5 different ways to get music into this magic little box here. You get a Bluetooth antenna, and you get your 12-volt power input. That is what's on the back of the ZD3. Let's take a look at the included remote. And on here, you have your power off and on button. You have the ability to turn the display off, the LED display off, mute. You have volume up and down. In case you're using Bluetooth, you can go back, skip forward, and pause. On the bottom here, you have different buttons for your sources, coax, optical. Let's take a look here on USB and also your HDMI as well as Bluetooth. Those are what's on the front of the remote. It's not a bad little remote. It's, it's plastic, puts me on, well, here, I have a topping remote. If I buy it, they obviously come from the same place. I'm guessing that's what they do. I tell you, this thing sells for under $200. Pretty doggone good deal. Let's go over some of the main features of the ZD3. Again, you get the ES9039Q2M Sabre DAC chip on here. Bluetooth is version 5. It supports aptX HD, aptX, and of course, SBC and AAC codecs are included. Again, you get your 5 input modes. You get your OLED display. Comes with the LME 49720 operational amplifiers. Fully balanced design. Gives with the QCC, the Qualcomm QCC 3031 Qualcomm wireless chip on there for Bluetooth connectivity. HDMI, how about that? That is something I think should be included in just about every DAC, power amp, whatever, or amplifier, integrated amplifier, preamp. It's time, folks. It's time. Put HDMI on it all. Bypass mode on the bottom. That's a little button on there. I'm going to try to hold it up there so you can see it. Right up here. So essentially what that does is it changes it from a variable output, a voltage output, to a fixed. So you would just use this in DAC mode if you've already got it plugged in, say, to another preamplifier, integrated amplifier, etc. Of course, you have the Bluetooth antenna on there. So you're getting a ton of features on here. But I know you're watching this review because you want to know one thing. How does this DAC sound? Okay, so I've reviewed a lot of stuff from Topping, some stuff from SMSL, other DACs, Hi-Fi Man, just a whole bunch of DACs actually, and this will carry its own weight. I'm telling you, this is very, very competitive, and especially that sub $200 market. So what music sources did I test this with? I'm just going to name a few. Actually, I've been listening to this, and what I do is in the evening come in and I put on various types of music. Could be jazz, could be rock. I don't listen to classical or country. It's just that stuff's just not my thing. I'm sorry, but nonetheless, I've got different, some Cheap Trick that I like, and just a whole host of stuff. Creedence. But there's a few special ones I listen to record. So I have a Weem streamer, which is plugged via optical into the ZD3. And then that in turn goes into the Fosse ZA3 matching power amplifier. And there you go. As far as the music, I rip all my CDs to ALAC in the Apple Music app, and I also have Plex server and Plex amp. So that's kind of how I'm streaming music. And the first album that I listened to, this is something I just learned about recently. Gotta hang on. Boom, there we go. Technical problems. Anyhow, her name is Elaine Elias, and the album is called Dance of Time. When that album was made, and it was from like 2017, it was reviewed as smooth as silk. If you are a fan, say, of Diana Krall, I think she's a little bit more edgy than Diana, but I think her overall presentation's a little bit smoother. But this album sounded absolutely fantastic with the ZD3. The bass was there, the separation was there, the detail was all there. Very, is it neutral? Yeah, I think it's a fairly neutral. It doesn't add color to the sound as much as it does detail. A very, very great detail. If you're familiar with the Sabre chips, you know that they're extremely detailed sounding chipsets. And this is no exception. Very detailed, but it's not overly bright. It's not overly warm. It's doesn't present money bass, anything like that. So when I listen to pop jazz, I'm listening for the smoothness of the vocals. And again, this DAC does not disappoint. This really does most anything you could ever really want in a very affordable way. Another album I listened to was Grover Washington Jr. And his Mr. Magic album. And it's only 4 tracks, but my gosh, it is magical. It is just a very musical, it's instrumental, it's very musical, but you talk about some fantastic imaging, right? And the soundstage, you know what I mean by soundstage, right? The performers are up on the stage and it's, you're kind of sitting there in the front and it's big and wide and deep. Well, that's kind of, if you get things going just right, that's what you end up with here. Okay, what about Pratt? P-R-A-T, pace, rhythm, and timing. It's the best explanation. If it gets those toes tapping, that's Pratt, and this has that in spades. So Grover Washington's album was never tiring, never got... You ever just listen to something, and I don't care even if it's good music you like, but after a while you just feel fatigued. It's just like, I don't know, I just turn it off. I just can't take it no more. That's fatigue, listening fatigue. This does not do that. Does not. Okay, so let's talk about the pros and cons of the ZD3. First off, I think it's a great match. Obviously intended matchup with the ZA3. Fantastic Class D power amplifier. And they just design, stylistically they match, and I think they team up and make a great pair. I love all the included accessories that come with the ZD3. I like the fact that you have the ability to change op amps. There's a whole list that they recommend you can try. I'm not that person, but there's people who like to do that. I like the fact that there's an ARC channel port or HDMI port on the back. Time that people that make preamp stacks, that kind of thing, get with the program, included HDMI. That's going to be wonderful. Okay. Next, let's talk about the balanced design. I love the balanced design with this. You have, of course, the XLR outputs on here. Very nicely done. Plenty of inputs, more than you could really ask for. You've got a ton of them. Now, let's talk about the OLED display. I think that looks fantastic. It really just, video of it's not going to do it justice. It does a great job. Not particularly crazy about the volume knob. I'll tell you why. Because if you're using this in preamp mode, now remember, there's a little switch back down here at the bottom that you can disable that and just be direct in pure DAC mode. But if you're using this as a preamp, here's the deal. You got to keep turning and turning and turning and turning this knob. But that's why really I think it's best. Use the remote control whenever possible. I like the price to the performance on this. I think it's very reasonable. What you're getting on here, all the stuff, you're getting Bluetooth, all the inputs, you're getting the really good Sabre chip in there, replaceable op amps, upgradable op amps. So you're getting a lot of value. It's a very high value device. That's what I'm trying to say. Is there anything I didn't like or any suggestions I have? Well, I just said the volume knob, it doesn't do it for me. It just seems you got to keep turning and turning and turning to get it to go up. And I prefer using the remote control. I think it would be cool, maybe in another generation, that you have RCA single-ended inputs with an analog to digital recorder or converter, because this would make a whole home type of entertainment. You could build an entertainment system around this by adding a streamer, or you could add, say, if you had a record player with its own phono preamp, then you could plug it directly into here and utilize it that way. I think Weem does that on their Ultimate streamer. So yeah, that would be very cool. So final thoughts. I think for under $200, this thing offers a tremendous amount of value. It definitely deserves your consideration. I've enjoyed listening to it and using it. It was sent to me at no cost for review from Fosse, but all opinions of my own. No one's reviewed the video prior to posting. So you have all that. More information available in the links down below. Bruce Naylor, your Boomer Consumer. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.